we're going to be ranking every Marvel Rivals hero by climbing difficulty in the game. How difficult are these heroes to climb with from bronze to eternity? Not from bronze to becoming top 500 or a pro player, but bronze to eternity, which is going to be the vast majority of heroes, which are going to be the best to mostly solo queue with. That's the angle that we're looking at with this particular video. So hopefully we have a fresh take here for you for the season 3.5 meta. How I came up with this tier list was a combination of pick rates, ban rates, win rates, team compositions, my own gameplay experience. So let's jump into it. Okay, starting as the absolute worst hero, no change whatsoever from season 3, we have Black Widow. Now hear me out here. Her fire rate is just way too slow. She doesn't have one-shot potential. Yes, if she's boosted, she can do a ton of damage, but that's with any other hero in the game if you damage boost them, so I'm not going to count that as a blessing for her in particular when, again, you can boost your entire team. She's not good at taking out Groot's walls. She's not good at applying pressure when you need quick pressure. She's fantastic for doing massive chip damage towards particular targets. She's actually surprisingly decent at fending off foes whenever they try to dive her as well, but the stats don't lie, she's still floating around a 40% win rate, the absolute rock bottom of any hero in the entire game across any role, and she has a fairly low pick rate, so even when she's used for niche scenarios, she's still not performing. She has the lowest win rate in the game. And yes, some people are going to be just picking Black Widow just to like throw games with or whatever the case, so that's going to skew the numbers a little bit, but even then, people just aren't winning with her. Now, you can control lobbies with Black Widow, you can climb to eternity with any hero in the game, and I mean that, even with Black Widow, with any of these heroes. But if you're looking for the best heroes to climb with, you're going to have just objectively an easier time playing with someone like a Hela or someone like that in order to climb with decent aim. I don't think we need to spend any more time there. Let's move on to the next one here. It's going to be the Punisher. Hear me out on this one as well. So the Punisher has the second worst win rate across all heroes in the entire game, across all roles, and he has a fairly high pick rate, but he has nowhere near the pick rate of someone like a Magneto or a Jeff the Landshark or anyone like that. So it's not too high to where you're going to just be forced into seeing like a 50% win rate or less. He's got an abysmal win rate, and he doesn't have that burst damage that you need in order to carry as a solo queue. Yes, with your shotgun, you absolutely have that burst damage. How often are you able to dive into the backline with a Punisher? His ultimate is pretty good. It lasts longer than what you think it might as well, and you can use that to your advantage as well whenever I'm peering around corners or whatever the case, but it's just so hard to carry with this character. He does a great job of mowing down certain tanks. If you're the Thing, you're usually scared of a good Punisher player. If you are Thor, you're usually scared of a good Punisher player. Groot's walls, they become obsolete whenever there's a good Punisher player. There's a lot of aggro that you can provide, but it's really difficult to climb with this hero. Again, if you're playing solo queue often, just because you lack that burst damage and you need someone to be out like that, his bullets just aren't going to do that for you. He's still a ton of fun to play, but if we're talking about objectively some of the better heroes to climb with, I don't think Punisher's going to do that for you. And let's actually go ahead and jump over to Squirrel Girl here. Squirrel Girl has a higher pick rate than the Punisher. She has a higher win rate than the Punisher as well. And unlike the Punisher, she can provide that one-hit KO potential, which is awesome. However, she's not great at taking out any flyers. Any Squirrel Girl on your team ever is banning Iron Man. You're not good against good Human Torch players, good Storm players, good Spider-Man players. You can also provide a ton of value, a ton of support, a ton of aggro, a ton of attrition with this character. She's awesome for that, and there's no refuting her viability in certain team comps and certain maps as well. That's what I was trying to get at. She's great with closed-in places, long, narrow corridors. As you start to climb up, once you start getting to the higher ranks, once you break out of like the platinum, diamond, GM rank, somewhere around there, people do, believe it or not, start shooting your ultimate. Not as much as they should, not as much as you think they probably do. Like if you're in gold right now, for example, you might be thinking, man, people in Grandmaster or Celestial probably just shoot that out in 2 seconds. No, that's not what happens in those ranks, believe it or not. That's what should be happening. That is not what actually happens, but your ultimate isn't as efficacious as what you think it would be, even with all of that being said. And your primary is a little bit slow. You're super prone to dive as well. You have a really tough matchup against the Psylocks, against the Venoms. Now, don't get me wrong, you can absolutely bust Venom's face in when he gets too close to you and you're hitting those shots, and then you do your little bouncy tail away from him, and you even do it twice away from him. But good players are going to know, okay, you used your bouncy tail twice already. You're sitting duck for the next half hour. I'm going to take you out. And again, you're useless to anyone who flies in the game, which is a handful of characters. And some of these flying characters are pretty strong in this current meta. So she's lower on the list right now. Okay, Blade. This one was a really tricky one for me to play. So hear me out on this. I think Blade is a fun character to play. I don't know if people just don't know how to use him in particular yet. He's got an extremely high pick rate right now, which is going to just automatically lower his win rate because of that. But he's the 6th lowest win rate duelist in the game currently, which is a bit surprising because up until this point, up until really Jean Grey came out, so this previous half season, and then now, NetEase has actually overtuned every single hero up until this point, up until Jean Grey, to the point where they needed to nerf them for the successive seasons. And I think we might see the opposite for Blade in this case, and I'm still not sure what the Phoenix deal is going to look like yet. We'll talk about her in a minute. But for Blade, because he's a melee character, he's got a fairly large hitbox. I feel like his melee is a little soft. His healing reduction on enemies, that's awesome. That's a really cool mechanic, and that's something I feel like we need more of in this game. Just really unique, fun mechanics. I'm not arguing that. What I am trying to point out is his overall viability in the game at the moment. And I think it's pretty telling that he doesn't even have a 2% ban rate in high elo games at the moment. People aren't afraid of him. And again, I don't know if it's because people just haven't figured him out or he's too difficult. It's too difficult to get good value out of his mid-range shotgun. And then you have the melee component sprinkled in with it. He's a really weird character. So it's like, are you a melee character? Are you a mid-range character? Yes, you're both. And it's like, why wouldn't I do Magic, who does better on the melee? Or why wouldn't I do Winter Soldier, who does better on the mid-range aspect? So I feel like choosing Blade is just choosing a worse option of both of those heroes, or a couple of other heroes as well. And so that's why he's sitting here right now for me. Okay, hear me out. And we were just talking about him for Winter Soldier. So Winter Soldier barely has a higher win rate than Blade at the moment, and he has less than half of the pick rate. So the lower the pick rate, all things being equal, and they're not in this case, but all things being equal, the lower the pick rate, the higher you should see the win rate in this case. You're seeing more specialized people playing specialized roles, and you do have quite a bit more burst potential with the Winter Soldier projectiles, and those projectiles are pretty large. It's like throwing softballs at people. There are times when I hit someone and I go, I hit that? This character's a ton of fun to play. He's got an addictive, repetitive kind of loop with his shoot mechanics, reload. You use any ability and you get more in your chamber. He's a ton of fun to play, which is why he's one of the highest pick rate duelists in the game, and that makes sense. But his win rate's floating around 47%, which is not impressive. It's not shockingly bad or anything of that sense, but it's surprisingly on the low side for him. And it's, again, we're talking about climbing from bronze to eternity. We're not talking about cracking in to being a professional player or the top 50 players in the world. The meta shifts drastically whenever you get to these higher elo tier. So again, if you're thinking about this from a silver point of view, a platinum point of view, or you're hard stuck in Grandmaster at the moment, or whatever the case, the difference between Grandmaster and Celestial 3 is quite a big difference. And it's even more so the difference between Celestial 3 to Celestial 1, or flipping over into Eternity as well. And it's really difficult to get consistent value in games that you win on with Winter Soldier unless you're goated at the character. And there are goated Winter Soldiers, no doubt. It's just everyone and their mama plays Winter Soldier, and his burst damage isn't as much as some of these other heroes that we're going to talk about. His peeling, you would think on paper, it is fantastic. Again, it's difficult with this particular hero to win games with him. And I was scratching my head. I was really trying to figure out why. And I think I figured it out. There are so many busted heroes in this game that it's hard to shine. If you're not giga busted, you're kind of weak. And I'm not saying Winter Soldier is weak. I'm just saying it's actually difficult to climb with him. And some of you Winter Soldier mains might know what I'm talking about. There are games when you're like, you know, I'm not getting a lot of value. In general, how you kind of play Winter Soldier, you more or less play with your team. You're not flanking like a Psylocke or a Black Panther would be doing, and you're not playing in the backline all the time unless they have like a super oppressive Black Panther that's beating up your backline, and you can't get a ton of value that way. However, some play that we've been seeing more of lately has been, we've seen the Thing more. Winter Soldier isn't strong against the Thing with your abilities, in particular with your grabbing. You can like stun him for a half a second. You can't pull him in. You can't manipulate him. With Groot's walls up in your face, that's going to hinder your performance as well. Yes, you can pull Groot out of place, but a good Groot player walling you off. And again, when you get to these higher Grandmaster, when you get to the higher Celestial lobbies and you're trying to break into Eternity, it's going to be really, really difficult to get consistent value against good Vanguard players like that. It's difficult to get good value against a smart Thor player who's dashing around the map like he's the Flash. Magneto is a tricky matchup as well with his shields and his bubbles. How often are you going to hit a hook on a really good Spider-Man? And we're talking about playing against really good players. Now, if you're playing against players who are just going to be standing still like bowling pins, absolutely, Winter Soldier does it just as good as anybody else. He's one of my favorite duelists to play, so there's nothing personal against him. It's just, it's kind of difficult to win with consistently all of the time. Okay, Moon Knight has a middle-of-the-road pick rate for duelists, and he's got the 4th lowest win rate in the entire game. He's great at farming alt charge, and he can do this in any rank with the best of them. If you want to be talking about consistently getting your ultimate before practically anyone else in the game, Moon Knight is one of the best for that. He's also fantastic at pushing people off of the point last second. When you get to overtime and it starts counting down and they're pushing the cart, and again, you guys, both sides, you guys went to overtime. It's 3-3. And it's the enemy team and they're pushing the cart now, and you're like, I have to get them off of the point here. Moon Knight is exceptional for this. I think I brought this up in an example before, but Moon Knight is one of the best for doing that. And you couple that with any other hero's abilities or any other hero's ultimate, and you're talking about a potential team wipe. So he's awesome for that aspect. It's just, he's really, really weak. This hero is awful for 1v1s. Like I feel like a dog running away from something, like running away from a mouse with my tail between my legs whenever there's practically any other duelist that's trying to 1v1 me in the moment, because I'm like, I don't think I can win this. When you throw your onk down, yeah, things can get nasty. You can get a ton of value. And again, it's great for doing a ton of enemy group damage. But when you get into those higher ranks, and when those strategists do an exceptional job of lining themselves up to have really good line of sight all the time, they're out of harm's way. You're not going to be able to farm your ult charge on them, but you're going to try to farm your ult charge off of the tanks or maybe some duelists or whatever the case. And they're almost always going to be in line of sight whenever you're trying to farm with your onk, and your onk is down if they don't shoot it out immediately, which does happen a little bit more as you go up into the higher ranks. And again, it's not as much as you think it should be, but it's frustrating them healing all of that damage time and again, and then you are feeding the enemy team all charge, in particular the strategist, which is a really annoying thing to play against. Playing with against a Luna Snow, playing against a Loki, playing against a Rocket Raccoon, even if they're going to be farming up their all charge as fast as you are, isn't that a bit of a wash? My opinion is yes, but more importantly, I would say the statistics back that up as well. So Moon Knight is a bit on the weaker side again for this season for like the 50th in a row. Okay, I'm moving Hawkeye a little bit different here from season 3. And the reason for that is just with the way that the meta has shifted. So you are incredibly diveable. That's not surprising. You also have the 3rd lowest win rate in the entire game. And you're on the lower pick rate side as well. So again, the lower the pick rate, the higher the win rate in theory should be if good players are using them in good comps, in good matchups, good maps. And even when you do that, you're floating around a 44% win rate, which is really bad. Now, if you have cracked aim and you've figured out this particular hero's projectile speed and you're pretty consistent with getting headshots, getting really good damage on opponents, it's actually a really sneaky way. Even in high elo, we're talking about even in Celestial and Eternity lobbies, you can consistently get insane massive value with this character by doing like a double dink of headshots on like the enemy Doctor Strange or whatever the case, and you can take them out of the game for the next little while. That is insanely powerful for your team, and he's got huge carry potential because of this. How often are you really able to do this? And this isn't a knock against you. Get it? Like knocking your, that was a bad one. It's just with a dynamic game, it's incredibly difficult to take advantage of micro nuanced interactions with super high skill heroes. So when your aim's on for a particular game, you're gonna be like, man, why don't I main him every game? And then the very next game, you're not able to hit a single headshot, and you're like, this is why I don't use this character all the time. This is definitely one of those stereotypical pendulum swinging heroes that you're just on one extreme or the other. And I have seen that with Hawkeye's on my team as well. I don't choose to main him that often, but Hawkeye's on my team, they're either 0-9 or 9-0. And if you want to climb all the way to eternity, there are better heroes that you can do it with. Nothing against Hawkeye. I like him. So Scarlet Witch, with your team up, you're stronger, of course. You have 2 charges of your Mystic Projection where you can phase, get out of any situation that you want. Even though that was nerfed a little bit and it doesn't last as long as it did previously, it still doesn't matter. It's still a pretty strong ability, actually. You have auto lock ability as well with your primary. So if you're someone who mechanically for aiming, it might not be your strong suit, this character could be pretty well suited for you. You have some burst potential with your Chthonian burst, which is something to mention here. In combination with your primary, that can be deadly. So you can actually kind of dive in on people. You can answer flyers, not all the time, but you can answer them. You can provide consistent damage. You can do that to the front line. You can farm your ultimate. You can actually off angle as well. She's incredibly strong doing that. But, and this is something that's worth mentioning a little bit. And C tier is still, it's okay. C tier is okay, right? C's get degrees. She has the 4th lowest win rate of any hero in the entire game right now. That's really low. That's really low. So I don't think she warrants being up any higher here, but this feels like a fair spot. Okay, listen up. I like playing Iron Man. So in the C tier here, this is where I would say like these are passable heroes. Like whenever I'm coaching someone, I will openly mention to people whenever I'm doing one-on-ones or whatever the case, any of the heroes below C, I will just point out and say, hey, just so you know, we've got a little bit more of an uphill climb with them. If you're maining them, if it's your jam, we can make anything work. That's totally, like, that's not what I'm trying to say is you can't climb with any hero. You can climb with any hero. In my humble opinion, I just feel like the C tier on up is where you can consistently be like, yeah, I can make this work. And with Iron Man, he automatically gets bumped up here, I feel like, because he can fly. Because you can just dart away from a particular scenario when you please, that's a really big deal. And if you're smart with him and you're booping off to the right, you boop off to the right again, and then you go down a little bit when you're behind cover, and then you boop out to the right again, and then they can't get the headshots on you, that's going to be more important in your GM and Celestial lobbies in particular. This is a really easy hero to farm your ultimate with. I like playing a bit away, especially toward the beginning of the match, just to farm my ultimate and provide a little bit more pressure on the strategists. They're having to play patty cake just to pinch more, and sometimes your other duelists or your other strategists or your vanguards even are able to get a pick toward the front line, or a duelist who's straying just a bit too far when I'm blustering, and that's really all I'm doing is just kind of bothering, kind of picking on the strategist in the back line. I'm not exactly expecting to get a kill whenever I'm farming from that far away. That way I'm safe. And again, when you get to higher elo lobbies, you have to be really careful of that, because there's some pretty smart, pretty good hitting Luna Snows who will take you out of the sky if you're not careful. Spider-Mans are pesky to play against. Star-Lord stink to play against. Psylocke stink to play against. Smart Thor players now, if they're able to get their little realm around you, your ultimate is still really nasty, and it demands immediate attention. And again, back to the overtime scenario, Iron Man is fantastic for that. He demands a CC ability from someone, a stun, a shield, someone booping him away, something. He demands, and often you're able to extract multiple of that. And if you happen to have, and you can't count on this, especially if you're solo queuing, but if you happen to have like a smart Magneto player who bubbles you during your ultimate, or you have a smart invisible woman who gives you a shield, whatever the case, or a Doctor Strange who floats up and shields in front of you, there's a lot that you can make happen with this hero, or you just happen to position really well, really smart. And here's something sneaky that I've done with Iron Man, and you get way more value out of this than what you might think. So take this with you, Iron Man players. sometimes I'll be playing like middle range to where like my feet are around like an average strategist like head height. So I'm not like flying super high or anything. And I'm able to get my ultimates off like that. And because of your ultimate sound maximum, everyone turns and always tries to look up. And if you're at the height of like not much taller than someone like a Groot who's jumping actively, or like a Hulk or something like that, it's difficult to pinpoint you in the moment. And it's much easier for your Emma Frost to put a shield up in front of you or whatever the case. It's much more awkward because it's unorthodox, and people aren't used to unorthodox. They're used to the status quo best min-maxy play that you should do, which is hiding up really high in a tucked away corner. People are expecting that in Celestial 2, for example. They're not always expecting you to be on top of your Cloak and Dagger's ultimate, and then you maximum pulse at the same height as practically everyone else, and you take out their Luna Snow. This might seem like obvious tips, but I promise they're not. I've seen plenty of Celestial Iron Man players who don't do this. They play a bit too safe. And if you look at the best Iron Man players, they don't play that safe all the time. They know when they're able to go in and extract maximum value out of this hero. All right, Hela, like just counters Iron Man and Ultron. And I'm not going to list all the heroes that she directly counters or is really strong into. She's really strong into a lot of them. However, she does not have a positive win rate in high elo. Now, there are a few things around this. She's really dangerous in super high elo play. If you're cracked at aim, I also think she gets knocked up a tier, or maybe even 2. She's really, really strong for that. However, she's only got 10 ammo for her primary, so taking out Groot's walls, and then behind that you have Emma Frost's shield that you need to try to get through. She's really weak for something like that. You're incredibly diveable. Venom dives in, baits your bird, flock, fly away ability, and then a smart Venom player, again, when you start getting to these higher elo lobbies, even in probably Diamond Plus, maybe even Platinum Plus, they're not all the time, but they're going to know to dive you again immediately. Or even a smart Spider-Man player if you're not able to hit them, which those pesky Spider-Man players, they're tricky to hit those headshots on in particular whenever they're zipping around, unless you know exactly when they're going to be coming. You're looking out for that. And there's a lot going on in this game, and it's not always the best for use of your actions per minute to be looking out for the Spider-Man all of the time and be paranoid. You need to know when you should do that. Again, she's got a middle of the road pick rate. She's got a below average win rate. She's not as strong, again, as what your favorite streamers might say she is, and that's not saying that she's not uber cracked in high elo. It's just an incredibly different game. When you're talking about like top 500, top 50 professional play, it's a completely different world. We're talking about like average Joes. Let's say you're hard stuck Diamond or GM or something. You're like, dude, I would really like to get into Eternity or maybe top 500 one day. This is how I'm looking at these heroes. Mr. Fantastic is a pop-up tank when he wants to be. He's incredibly survivable. He's got a ton of HP. He's got deceptively pretty long range, like medium long range. It's medium range, but it feels like medium long range sometimes. A good Mr. Fantastic player is incredibly annoying to deal with. Him being able to kind of like pull, slow you, kind of move you around, manipulate your hitbox in that. And if anyone else on their team is focus firing you down as well, when you dove in and you got chipped down a little bit quicker than what you were expecting, you're trying to get out, a smart Mr. Fantastic player is going to ensure that you don't, in fact, get out. He's got okay damage. He's got fantastic survivability. He plays great with the team. He can play on his own because, again, he has good survivability. I really like whenever I have a Mr. Fantastic player on my team. Well, I really like whenever I have smart players on my teams in general, but Mr. Fantastic players seem to be pretty smart on average. They know when they should be on the point. They know when they should be contesting that point, or when they can sneak in the enemy backline and start stalling the cart for them, or whatever the case. He's got around an average pick rate for Duelists, but he's got around a 52% win rate. He's got a pretty high win rate. Don't be knocking my boy, Mr. Fantastic. I think he might need just a little bit more love when it comes to the damage that he's able to do, but when he's in the right hands, I'm telling you right now, he feels oppressive, which makes me think, maybe he doesn't need reworked at all. Jean Grey. So I'm going to hold my ground. I think I gave her around B tier, maybe C, B tier in the beginning of season 3 as well. And I got a bit of flack for that as well, saying that she's stronger than Hela, saying that she's OP. Well, as you can see here, she is still above Hela on this list here as well. But the reason I don't think she's in super uber cracked tier is for a few reasons. She has an average pick rate this season in high elo. She only has a 46% win rate though. Your primary really shines whenever you hit critical hits. And again, how often are you consistently doing that? Statistically, you're not. I thought she felt a little soft, and honestly, I probably would have placed her in B tier without even looking at the stats. And then when I looked up the stats and I saw she was almost at the bottom when it comes to win rate, I started scratching my head and I was like, what's going on here fully? It's probably the same reason that you see Hela not as high as what the pros would say as well, because the pros have cracked mechanics. They have cracked aim. And for average Joes who are trying to climb to Celestial and Eternity, we're not always going to be hitting those headshots. And that's where her kit can really shine and provide insane value. And when you get those accidental headshots, that's when you see those Phoenixes tear up your lobbies. And a good Phoenix player, even without getting headshots, is going to extract a ton of value because of just your presence. Your ultimate is fairly dangerous even still, and when you know how to use your potentially vulnerable ultimate and you're chilling there for another second or so, that can be super powerful as well. We don't even need to talk about her disgusting combo whenever Wolverine doesn't happen to be banned, where he is banned like in half of the games. So I feel like she might get bumped up a tier. I'm not exaggerating. I might move her up to A if you're able to play her and combo her with a Wolverine. How often are you going to be able to play her and a Wolverine in a match at a given time? Like, again, I'm trying to think of Celestial. Trying to think of like your rank up games. I don't know how often you're going to be able to do that. When you have the opportunity to, I think she becomes almost a must pick if you're a good Jean Grey player. Other than that, she's actually fairly weak. Again, for the same reasons we talked about before for Hela. Your dueling potential is really strong, but again, you fall short against some of these oppressive tanks who are going to get more and more oppressive as you reach up into these higher ranks. A good Magneto, you're not going to be able to do anything against. Groot's walls are super annoying. A good Doctor Strange getting in front of your face. A good Emma Frost. There's a lot in the front line that you will have to contend with at some point, and you get one use of your teleport and it's a 12-second cooldown. What are you going to be doing in between that time? You're probably going to die. She's just not as strong in solo queue if it's just you trying to hold the ship down, trying to keep the ship up. What's the saying there? Keep the ship afloat. That's what we'll say. All right, Spider-Man's got a middle of the road pick rate and getting close to a middle of the road win rate as well. An impressive Spider-Man can take over a lobby. And I just saw this last night actually playing with a Spider-Man who took their Loki off the map. Right off the rip, they were trying to push. We were on defense and I was like, awesome. There's an extra 20 seconds of them not doing anything effective. That is insane. The type of value that you can get with this character. And consistently in that match, our Spidey was able to pull that off. And as any Spidey main will be able to tell you, you're not able to do that every game. And certainly as you start climbing up in higher elo, you're going to be able to do that less and less. Although, again, there are some matches where you're like, is this their first time queuing up as a strategist because their positioning is interesting? You have to play squirrely with this character. You can't go in and 1v1 just anyone that you want. You usually have to wait for people to be distracted. Distraction is Spidey's best friend. He's a ton of fun to play. You can fly all over the map. You can climb wherever you want. You can jump in when you want. You can jump out when you want. You can combo people. You can press all of the buttons with this character. Your burst potential is lacking a little bit. You have to min-max your combos. You have to min-max your timing with this character. He's a very technical hero to play, of course. And when you just miss that, you're not able to get that kill. And in solo queuing, and you trying to grind ranks up to Eternity, up to a little bit higher of an elo there, you really need that boom potential. And Spider-Man just doesn't carry that as much as some of these other heroes do. He just needs just a little bit more KO sprinkled in there. He would be insane. I think he would be S tier. So I understand why they're not buffing this character, and I'm not complaining about any of that. I think he's in a really healthy spot. I really do. And I know Spidey Means would love if he got like an extra 10% buff to his damage. But I think that's what would be needed here in order for him to web up to the top. Okay, Human Torch, also a weird like brawly technical hero as well, with you diving in, being able to dive out and escape, but you can fly. And that changes a lot, because you're up in the air, and there are certain heroes that just aren't going to be able to answer you, or even technically on paper they can answer you. They still just don't do a good job of consistently answering you. You have crowd control ability. You have really anything in your kit that you would want for a decent duelist, and the better that you are with this particular hero compared to the others that we've talked about so far, you have insane I'm going to take over this entire lobby potential. If people just stay inside of your massive fire rings, that's free value for you. That's free ult charge for you. You have to think when you use your ultimate, but your ultimate can be completely deadly. He's got a middle of the road pick rate. He's got a 50% win rate, which is a thumbs up. Human Torch is a fun pick and he's a good pick. Someone else who also has a middle of the road pick rate, 50% win rate, a little bit higher than Human Torch, would be Iron Fist. And this is another character, and I've kept saying this. There are particular comps, there are particular matchups where it just doesn't make sense to run with an Iron Fist, but you can practically fly, you can dive in a 1v6 scenario and realistically expect to get out of that 1v6 scenario. You have stalling potential, you have knockout potential. Your ultimate is better than what a lot of people say that it is. And what's insane to me is even in celestial lobbies, you can start blocking and people will still shoot at you and give you overshield. It's crazy. Okay, I was curious where he was going to land for this season. I'm looking for my boy Star-Lord. Where is he? Oh, there he is. So our first one to round out the A tier here. So you take one of the most obnoxious heroes in the game to play against, and you give him the option to teleport anywhere on the map, anytime that he wants to. And his win rate skyrocketed because of this. His win rate is up nearly 8% from season 3, just into 3.5, just because of this mechanic alone. He's got a whopping near 54% win rate, an average pick rate. He is insanely strong this season. He can fly, he can dive, he can dip out, he can apply pressure, he can farm his ult from the back. He has an incredibly strong ultimate, and when you pair that insanity with a teleportation ability now, he's crazy, man. If they don't rework this for season 4, if you were on the fence about playing Star-Lord, I would highly consider putting a little bit more time into him now. He's really, really strong. Someone who didn't even need those buffs to be this strong would be Psylocke, who has an incredibly high win rate of nearly 53%, but she still has a very high pick rate, above average for duelists. She can dive, she can kind of almost fly because of her dash ability. She can go invis, she can take out Iron Man, which is why I'm saying she can basically fly, because she can take out flyers. She's pretty much a hard counter to Iron Man play. As someone who plays Iron Man frequently, when I get the chance to play duelist, I'm a tank man usually, but I hate playing into smart Psylocke players. They are scary to play against. They are annoying to play against. You can farm your ultimate incredibly easy. Your ultimate can extract more value than what people say it can, even though it's gotten a little bit nerfed, reworked. It doesn't scare everyone, and when more people hop in, you still have, what is that one theory called? Hold on. So I'm too lazy to look into this too much, but like basically a moral dilemma or the trolley problem or anything like that. I don't want to bog this down too much with that, but essentially it's every man for himself, especially when you're solo queuing. You're not going to have people that are going to hop in to an enemy Psylocke ultimate unless they're really smart. And even higher elo lobbies, that just doesn't always happen, where people are like, I'm only half HP, I'm out of here. It's every man for himself. It's a Wild West in this game, man. So what I'm trying to highlight is Psylocke has a pretty stinking strong ultimate, and you can just decimate and manhandle teams whenever you please with this character. She's good in practically any comp, and that's why she's so high on this list. Also high on this list would be Namor. Namor has a near 53% win rate, higher than Psylocke. He's got a similar pick rate to Psylocke as well. He is like the definition when you think of like counter dive, right? Whenever you get to pair him up with Hulk, man, that's crazy. Your projectile speed was buffed to high heaven. You don't have to reload. You can just hold your primary down with this character. You have an incredibly strong get out of jail free card with your bubble, and you can also use it for mobility however you please. You use it as a get out of jail free card, and you take that opportunity to position, to off angle, to get up onto height, that you can get value in that even in celestial lobbies, I promise you. You have burst potential with your squids, you have aggro, you have total attrition with this character. He's the full package. You can legitimately flank with this character. You can legitimately protect your backline with this character. You can farm ult with this character. There's nothing this character can't do. Okay, Wolverine even still is a pick or ban character by a large margin. He has the highest ban rate and high elo in the game, and he still has a near 52% win rate when he is picked, and he does have an average pick rate even still for a duelist. So when he is played, he wins. He controls lobbies. You have to answer him. Even if you're an average Wolverine player, you have to answer him. You have to have someone focus on him or use mental resources to address him. He's incredibly oppressive. I know I said oppressive quite a bit with these characters. Some of these characters are just flat out busted, but I mean it in every sense of the word. If I could only use the word oppressive for one hero in the entire roster, it would be Wolverine, no doubt. He's a pick or ban character, and the reason why I don't have him in S tier with the climbing ability here, with you doing solo queue, the fact that he's not going to be available basically in half of your games, like almost literally, to be able to play him, that does knock him down a peg in my opinion. One, you're not going to be able to play him all the time. Even when he is available, there are going to be people who don't always main him who are like, ooh, Wolverine's open, I kind of want to play him too. There's that factor as well. Also, some of these heroes that are starting to see a little bit more play are tricky to play against. Thor is better against Wolverine than what you might think, especially smart Thors. Emma Frost players are good against Thor players, which Wolverine, tries to eat tanks. The Thing, he is fairly strong against Wolverine. A smart Hulk player is going to be hard to nab out of him jumping around the entire map. And if I wasn't looking at this from the lens from bronze to eternity, yeah, no doubt, like if we were talking about top 500 or something, Wolverine would be an S tier. And because of that, just barely above him would be Black Panther, because he can control lobbies, but he's not banned nearly as much as Wolverine. He's almost banned half as much as Wolverine is, but his win rate is also insane. Black Panther's win rate is actually higher than Wolverine's win rate at above 52%. And everyone knows this. If you have a fairly weak strategist backline as far as staying alive, they are constantly not looking at your frontline team and giving them heals when they need it because they're paranoid about the Black Panther in the backline. You're gonna lose that game because Black Panther, just the insane value that he's able to extract, presumably tying up both of your strategists for the entire game. It's just basically a free additional player that the enemy team gets if you think about it, or you're down a hero at all times. However you want to look at it, that's the type of value that Black Panther provides, which is why he's an unironic pick or ban character over the last season and a half. Your damage is good, your dashing is good, you can mess up a backline, your ultimate is pretty scary, but he's not an S tier. And that's because you have Storm just chilling here. She's in the air, which is going to knock her up another tier practically for free because they're going to be heroes that just simply aren't going to be able to answer her. She's got great damage. It is projectile, which does soften that a smidge, which is why there's another hero buffer. But from you simply staying alive with your goddess boost ability on, you can give your allies a 12% damage boost. And even when you don't do that and you just have your weather control, your thunder on, which could be at all times of the game, by the way, that's a 10% damage boost to anyone inside your radius for the entire game. I know I said this last time, but I need to say it again because it doesn't click for people all the time, and I don't mean that people aren't able to grasp it. It just means people aren't aware of this. This is insane value that you get for free with this character. You're giving a 10% damage buff to your Groot, a 10% damage buff to your Wolverine, a 10% damage buff to your ridiculous Emma Frost, to your Hela, to your Luna Snow. You're giving a 10% damage buff to any of those who happen to be inside your radius at that time, which does happen to be frequent. It's not going to be all the time. It's not going to be every single person who's on your team at all times. This is incredibly powerful, and it's a reason why she has one of the highest win rates in the entire game. It's just under 54%. She's actually got the second highest win rate in the game for any duelist, and higher than that would be Magic. She still holds this place as the queen of damage picking people off in the back line. She has incredible survivability. You can do your dash, you can do your whirl, you can combo people to oblivion, you can do insane animation canceling, which is a high skill tier to be able to abuse and manipulate. You can do that. You have a fairly strong ultimate. It is a little bit higher skill and you need to be careful when you use it. You have to be careful whenever you use this hero in general as well. And the fact that she's not she can't really answer flying heroes. The fact that she still has an insanely nearly 55% win rate is crazy to me, and an above average higher pick rate percentage. This is an insane hero. She can dance in the front line with the best of them. She can dive like nobody's business. And her combo and knockout potential, which for solo queue is your bread and butter, there's hardly anyone better in the business than her. Okay, moving on to strategists. I want to say this up front. Strategists in general are going to be the hardest role to climb with, in my opinion. It's just really difficult if you're looking at it from a solo queue perspective to climb with a strategist. You have to have a little bit better overall game sense on average playing the strategist role. That does not mean that strategists are smarter or better, or that strategist is always a harder role to play than like a duelist or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just when you're doing solo queue, you often need to have knockout potential. You can't have anyone else to rely on. You have to assume there's going to be no comms, no one that can hear you, your team is tilting, whatever the case. It's just really easy to take the game into your own hands if you are the one knocking out someone from the enemy team. It's really easy to win a matchup when it's 6v5 in your favor. And yes, you're going to have games where you still lose like that. It does tip the balance in your favor whenever you're able to do something like that. And it's just objectively harder to do that with the kit of a strategist. You can still win games with strategists. You can still climb to eternity with strategists, but just keeping that in mind, which is why we're going to have Cloak and Dagger at the bottom here. It's great that you can do your Terror Cape. You get that's a one-trick pony that you have. What are you going to be doing for the rest of the game? You got your heals like nobody's business. That's great. What are you going to be doing for damage? You're going to be limited on your range. You're not going to be able to answer any of the flyers ever once you start getting to like platinum or above, probably maybe even gold or above. I don't even know. Platinum, diamond, somewhere around there. You're not going to be able to answer any flyers, so you're going to be totally helpless when it comes to that. Whenever there's someone in your backline, like there's a magic attacking you, whenever there's a Black Panther, you're going to be up the crick if you're not going to get peeled, and you're not going to get peeled often in this game. And that's a terrible feeling. This is why this character's down this low. If you're talking about like super high elo play or whatever the case, just the fact that she's able to heal like nobody else and she's got a strong ultimate, all of that's great, but to actually climb with, this is a really difficult character to climb with. Jeff the Land Shark is just above Cloak and Dagger for similar reasons. It's going to be tricky to answer the enemy human torches. It's going to be tricky to take care of yourself whenever you're getting dove. You only have a 47% win rate. Your burst potential for taking out enemies is lower now because of the rework to Jeff, which we're not complaining about. It's just for this specific scenario climbing with this hero. There's a reason why he's got a lower win rate. It's because it's tricky to climb whenever you don't have that burst. You need someone helping you out doing that damage. He's great for heals, and if you stand behind like an Emma Frost, for example, she's doing damage, she throws up her shield, and you're doing damage, you're healing her and doing damage through her. That's a crazy fun combo to do. Seriously, Jeff Mays, if you're doing that, keep that in mind whenever you have an Emma Frost on your team. Consider, I'm not saying just always do this, but consider for certain tactics throughout the round to mix it up, just stand behind your Emma Frost and see what happens. That's happened to me a few times before with some Jeff players. It's a ton of fun, number one, and number two, it can't really be stopped in these haphazard lobbies like in GM and lower. So try that one out. Disappear. Invisible Woman has a higher pick rate, but she only has a 46% win rate in high elo lobbies, so that's on the lower side. However, she's got better utility than Cloak and Dagger or Jeff, which is why she's placed here in C tier, because you can counter a Wolverine, which is crazy. You can give Black Panther a hard time with your boops. You can pull a Groot out of position and your Punisher can ruin his day. You can push a Magneto off the map if he happens to be close to a particular edge. Your ultimate isn't a get out of jail free card if they have a Magneto that knows what they're doing or someone pushes you out and then you get taken out. So she's not just going to control a lobby, but you can make the Venom You can make his life a lot more difficult, an enemy Venom player, by simply pushing them or pulling them around whenever they're trying to use their last ability to escape. So Ultron, he's got a little bit more DPS, a little bit more burst ability, which is going to be great for solo queue. He does have quite a bit higher win rate. He's bumped up to over 48% in the win rate category with a slightly below average pick rate, but it's still okay. But you can heal with this ultimate when you want. You can do damage with this ultimate when you want. And most importantly, you can fly, baby. Again, there are going to be fewer heroes that are just going to be able to answer you. I'm trying to move quicker through these, so that's where Ultron sits. So Adam Warlock got buffed for this season, and he barely edges into the B tier here. If you have good aim with this character, he might move. No, I think he stays here actually. Even if you have really good aim with this character, maybe. But like, even if it's like you've got like top 15% aim, I think he stays here. If you've got like top 5% aim, he moves up a tier. So for anyone who that might be relevant to. Your ultimate is still risque. Yes, people get a bonus HP now. You can still be taken out with somebody's ultimate, although it might warrant an ultimate from someone out. And again, when you're playing random, disorganized, solo queuing, maybe duo queuing, ranked play, you're not going to be able to really coordinate with your team like, hey guys, I have ultimate, we can play around this. It just has to happen in the moment. And there are going to be games, plural, where you're not really going to be able to use your ult. So that's half of your kit, basically. Like, right? It's just because ults are so powerful in this game. That's almost like half of a hero that's wasted. So we have to keep that in mind. Even though your ultimate is better for the season, and again, you're incredibly diveable. You've got your soul bond, but when that's done, you're toast. A good, even Wolverine player will take you out. A Black Panther will take you out. A Magic will take you out. A Psylocke will take you out. A good Hela player will 2-tap you, like always. And unless you're getting really good damage, really good critical shots with this character, which again is incredibly difficult to do with even the best heroes. On paper, he sounds like a super strong giga-busted hero. He just ends up not being, because it's difficult to min-max characters when you're talking about technically difficult feats to pull off. But his burst heals can throw people off because they think that the thing is going to be one shot, and then you burst heal the thing all of a sudden, and then now they overcommitted on that dive to the thing, and then your team can take them out. You can manipulate situations like that. So that's why he's placed here. And when we're talking about healing, Luna Snow is fantastic for that. Your Snowflake ability, which people misuse all the time. I'm not going to rehash that again for this particular season. Just know if you're able to use your Snowflake ability and do burst healing on someone, like your Doctor Strange needs additional healing, all of a sudden you're able to Snowflake him and do that. And something I don't see Luna Snow players do often at all, and we're talking about even in GM and Celestial lobbies, is doing your clap ability. Whenever I play her, I use that clap ability, not off cooldown, because it's good to save that in your pocket depending on the situation, and you need to have awareness for that and just overall game sense and how the flow of the game is holding. But whenever you do that clap ability, you farm so much ult charge, you're piercing through your team, you're shooting the enemy team with it. It's a crazy good, strong ability, and it's an ult farm machine, and you have an incredibly strong ult. So that's something that we want to keep in mind. I do try to save the little snowball whenever we can, the freeze for the Black Panthers, for the Spider-Mans if we're able to get that off, or even the enemy, the Thing, if they dive and you know he's going to do his little run around you into your team and then run right back to his team. It's nice and it's fun whenever you can freeze someone like that and take them out of their game plan. And you can do that in any rank. Again, your one shot, your burst potential, rather, not even like your one shot, you can start answering like the Iron Man players and all of that. So could Adam Warlock as well, but it's not going to be as strong, as potent as some of the duelists can do just consistently. And again, you're going to be a little bit more team dependent if they're not peeling for you, because you have a much bigger target on your back than like someone on your team who would be like a Mr. Fantastic or something. So if your team doesn't peel for you, you're toast. We're going to skip the A tier here and we're going to go to S tier for this season. We're going to place Loki in the S tier. Loki has over a 53% win rate in games. He has one of the highest pick rates as a strategist as well. And with over a 53% win rate, that's insane. You have trickery with being able to teleport at your whim. You have your runes, which is one of the strongest abilities in the game, where not only do you nullify damage, but you heal that amount of damage to your teammate or teammates. If you have multiple clones up, the damage that you do is insane. You can copy any ultimate, so you can kind of treat it like he's a jack of all trades from that regard. Whatever ultimate you need in the moment, like if you need a Venom ultimate to stall point at the end of the game, you can do that instead of the very obvious Luna Snow ultimate. We don't need to talk about Loki too much. We know that he's a super strong character. Let's move on. And we got Rocket Raccoon above him. He is super survivable. Even though they nerfed him a little while ago with his dashes, he can still dash incredibly far to the right or left on walls, or up or down on the walls as well. Your revive beacon is incredibly potent because that's effectively a 7th member on your team, and that cannot be overstated. You effectively have 7 people on your team when you have a rocket. You have 7 people on your team when you have a rocket, and he has one of the highest pick rates in the game, so his win rate should suffer because of that, but he has the 5th highest win rate of any hero across any role in the entire game. Most rocket players do, like, I'm not exaggerating, 500 to 1500 damage in a match. They don't even shoot. They're surprisingly powerful, incredibly powerful primary. They just heal, and they make sure they have a 7th person on their team, and that's it. I have always said this. I think Rocket, it sounds crazy, Rocket even still is a little, not a lot, a little underrated, especially by some of the favorite streamers that we all have. Mantis, she skyrocketed this season. She's got the highest win rate in the game. It's pushing 60, maybe even over 60%. When I refreshed at some point, she had over a 60% win rate with an average pick rate. So you're able to off angle with this character. You've always been able to do that. The fact that you have incredibly fast movement speed and you can sleep divers, baby. You can take care of yourself. For solo queue, this is huge. You can double stack your healing. You can stack with your damage. You can self boost damage on yourself. So you know they have a Black Panther. You can actually animation cancel it, so you can sleep, power boost yourself, shoot them in the head, knock them out of the game. Yes, it's a little bit more technical. Yes, it can be tricky to do, but if you do get to sleep on them, to get the headshots on them, it's not that difficult. Although ironically, Black Panther has a weird animation when he's slept by Mantis to where his head kind of moves down and the hitbox literally changes. Even with all of that being said, if you're a Mantis player, you probably know this. And you are projectile, so that does knock things down a little bit. So it's just not always giga busted. So answering pretty much any smart flyer is incredibly difficult or annoying to do, and you miss what you think should be fairly easy shots, or a Star-Lord zipping around. They're annoying to hit consistently as well, but it doesn't matter because you can legitimately off angle with this character. So she's kind of like a hybrid DPS-y strategist. Now, the ridiculous team up that came into play this season, Groot gets his flower wall, which heals enemies that are nearby, and it grants them damage reduction. Yes, for Groot, one of the strongest Vanguards in the game. And Loki's huge. Runes now grant a damage boost. So it's an incredibly powerful, and I'm gonna say it's a busted team up. If you've been on the fence about playing Mantis, or you've enjoyed playing her before, this is the season for that. I don't think that this goes for super long. Maybe into the next season. They've got to soften this, I feel like. And if they don't, they will the season after that. I can almost guarantee that. I'm not going to throw the G word out on that yet. But I would be playing me some Mantis if you've ever been interested in playing her, or you're comfortable playing her. Okay, Vanguards are getting moved up a little bit this season. Bottom of the pack is going to be Penny Parker. She's pushing a 57% win rate. Not arguing about that, but an incredibly low in niche pick rate, which means she's used in niche situations, very specific team comps, maps. The stars have to align to get value on this character. A smart diving character is going to play around your mines. Yes, you can be sneaky with this character to do so, but even with all that being said, you're not able to frontline with the best of them unless you get like a perfect stack with your nest wombo combo going on. It's just, it doesn't happen consistently, and to have the right team enable you to do that, statistically, it just doesn't happen, which is why you see such a low pick rate for this character. She's not a bad Vanguard, it's just she's a better kind of like off tank, which is fine. You can thrive like that, and you can take over games and get incredible value with this character. That's not what we're trying to say. There are just times when it makes sense to play this character or not. And when you get to these higher lobbies and you're trying to like push the cart with a penny, it gets difficult because you want them to be going into your mines. Maybe that makes sense if your backline keeps getting dove and you're like, dude, I can't play the Thing or Emma Frost or Magneto for whatever reason. You've chosen not to do that. You're like, but I know how to play Penny. Maybe that works. Maybe it does. But again, that's why she's placed here. She's in C tier, so it's not like offer or dumpster or anything like that. It's just we can do a little better. Okay, the Thing, you can charge into the enemy backline. You can peel for your backline as well. And that's incredibly strong. Again, in solo queue, you don't have damage mitigation like a lot of other tanks do with just a practical shield in front of you. Yes, you can get some bonus HP, but frankly, it's just not enough whenever you get in a oops kind of moment. Whereas if you go in like as a Doctor Strange or an Emma Frost or a Magneto or a Groot and you're like oops, or a Captain America or even the Hulk, man, like you can bubble yourself. You can just go oops, throw your shield up or bubble yourself or whatever. With the Thing, you're like, ah, crap. So that's why the Thing is placed down here. Even though he can technically answer heroes a little bit, it's really niche. It's really tricky to do. You're not going to be able to do that in the higher lobbies that you go as consistently, of course. So again, he has his use case. It's just he doesn't have as high of a win rate as you might think he does, even after being kind of soft buffed. He's got an average pick rate, but he's only got a 47% win rate. It's just not super strong, and that's why he's placed here. C tier is still okay. And I'm going to be controversial here, but that's okay. When did that 0 get there? Let's get that out of there, huh? Hear me out. Magneto's got one of the highest pick rates in the game. So that is going to lower your win rate, but it's still at 48%. It is lower than Doctor Strange. They did nerf your damage mitigation, your bubbling ability. Now, practically, like, and realistically in games, how much does that matter? Not really all that much, but are you going to be able to control a lobby consistently with Magneto? You can sometimes do that, no doubt. You can sometimes do that with pretty much any hero in the game, though. You are slow as can be. If you already used your bubble, you're up the crick, as they say, whenever CCing ultimate comes around, kind of thinking of Jeff here or anything like that. You can only peel for your backline so much with this hero. Again, you've got one bubble that you can shell out, and that's about it. Now, you can boop enemies away with your mag cannon ability, which is using the rings on your back. So B tier is good. B tier is strong, and he's one of the best tanks in the game in the traditional sense. It's just, if you're talking about solo climbing, solo carrying, yeah, you can totally do that with Magneto, no doubt. But this guy here, Doctor Strange, he's got a high pick rate. He's got a higher win rate than Magneto does. He's pushing 50% of a win rate, but that burst potential, the fact that they buffed your daggers of Denok, this is a strong hero. Your E ability is terrifying. You can fly practically when you want to counter Hela ultimate. You can counter an Iron Man ultimate. You can counter a Namor ultimate. You can block heals, which is underutilized even in celestial lobbies. And again, that burst potential that you have is crazy powerful. And then super quick, I want to talk about one of the best abilities in the game with your teleportation. So you can talk about a potential half team wipe. You can cut teams in half with your portals. I'm trying to mention this in every game that I can because I just hardly ever see this as Doctor Strange because not a lot of people main this hero. When you start getting up into higher elo, you see him get used in more interesting ways, but just not consistently. And there's so much you can do with this hero's portals, and you really have to use your brain for it. And I get it. So sometimes it's literally a chore to think about, like, how do I want to, like, you know, mind manipulate the team this time? And sometimes you're like, dude, I just kind of want to, like, shoot people and just, you know, play a shoot 'em up game. I totally get that, but you can manipulate people with your portals with this hero, and it does hold its spot here because of that. Okay, Venom can headshot people. He can melee weave to where he does his primary and melee involved with that for additional damage. He can dive off of a wall, and as he's diving off of a wall, you can headshot people. You can combo them. You can do your cellular corrosion, which is slowing them down. Now, I know what a lot of you might be thinking is, how often are you going to get headshots on people as you're diving on them, especially? Yeah, that doesn't happen as often. However, you will be able to just hit them on your way while you're diving. So you hit your ability, but even when you're doing your ability, you get another primary whilst you're doing your ability. which is incredibly powerful and a great way to min-max a particular character. So you've got your swinging ability, which is a get out of jail free card. A lot of times you can use that to engage, which a lot of high level Venom players use to engage with a swing, but they also save it for a disengage, and you're going to need to know when you need to do one or the other. You have incredible staying power on the point though, especially if you have your ultimate, and whenever you use your bonus health whenever you want, and people don't farm their all charge on you because of that. You're a mobile tank, you're hard to get value on, it's easy for you to get value on people, and you have better KO potential than people think you do, and that's why he's placed in A tier, and that's also why he has a near 52% pick rate and an average, or a near 52% win rate and an average pick rate. I don't want to hear it anymore. Thor mains. I get this on so many videos of mine. Whenever I bring up Thor, people are like, oh man, Thor's trash, Thor's this, Thor's that. It's because of his buff. Yes, he has gone up and he has a higher win rate than Venom in higher elo lobbies. And he's got a higher win rate than Venom that we just talked about. He's got a higher pick rate than Venom, which we just talked about. He's got a near 53% pick rate in high elo lobbies right now. He's like a DPS with more HP. You can boot people around. He's in a strong spot right now. Now, I understand he's not like a traditional tank, and whenever people play Thor, you're going to have people who are going to be raging because they want someone to people just want you to play either Magneto or Doctor Strange in this game, and I don't know if that's going to change. I don't, but it doesn't matter if you win games. Like, doesn't matter if your team says, you need to play this here. Like, does it matter? Does it really matter? Dude, Thor can do it all, man. Insane damage. Your hammer does insane damage. There's no tank that does it better when you're talking about the damage department there. You can move anywhere you want with this character. You can go up to high ground, you can stay low ground, you can boot people away, you can peel for your backline like nobody's business, which is a crazy powerful, fun, wonderful thing to have in your back pocket as a tank. You can frontline occasionally. You can now ground aerial troops, and if you dash yourself up and then ground them and then boop them out, you can do crazy things with Thor. He is strong, and he is strong in this season. And yeah, Emma Frost is also really strong. She's really good. She's got a near 50% win rate, which you might not think is all that exciting, but she's got an incredibly high pick rate, which is going to lower that win rate down a little bit. And again, if you learn this character and you choke slam somebody and kick them off the map, that's insane value that you get for free. You can peel for your backline. You're CC immune whenever you do something like that. You can shield Iron Man ultimates away. You can protect your Luna Snow whenever she's in your ultimate by just placing up your shield and letting her dance around it and use it for whatever reason. You can place it in front of your Punisher so his turret stays up for forever. You can do so much with this hero. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the fact that she's almost a DPS on a tank's HP. She's super bad. Okay, so we already know he has healing walls this season now. And you have insane combo potential. You have longer range than people think you do. You can peel for your backline, but you can just combo people. With your walls, you can break off unsuspecting tanks from their strategists and kill them. Like almost instantly because of how strong you are in this game. And this happens in Celestial lobbies. You can do this with Groot. You have an incredibly strong CC binding ultimate. You can heal your teammates with your walls when you have the team up with Mantis now. You do great damage. You have damage mitigation with your walls. You have damage boosting to yourself with your walls. And something that's not talked about all that much is you can mess up line of sight with your walls. Like, not even talking about all the other benefits that you get with them. You can just mess people up and they don't know. Like, oh, hey, that Groot's strategist is like one shot. Like, you're not able to see that now potentially because of those Groot walls being placed. There's so many benefits to this hero. We would be here forever, and I've already talked forever because of that. We're moving on. Groot's really good. Captain America has over a 56% win rate. He's got an average pick rate. He can stay on the cart forever and stall forever, and he can dive your backline with the best of them. He is okay at peeling. That's not usually your job, I will admit, but it doesn't matter because your ultimate is like another strategist ultimate. And when you learn your combinations with this character, you can kill strategists and duelists who aren't ready for you to rock 'em, sock 'em, robot 'em in the mouth. And again, that win rate is undeniable because you even still, and they tried reworking him with your shield and your overall HP pool and his ultimate and just all of these things. He's just almost unkillable, and he can be so annoying if he's played really well and you're trying to play against smart Captain America players. It's just not a fun time all the time playing against this guy. He's got a rock 'em, sock 'em win rate, and he's a good hero. And then you have Hulk. Hulk's got a higher pick rate than Captain America, but he's still got an insane 53% win rate. You can lock people down and prevent them from getting healed while they're in the Luna Snow ultimate, which can be insane. And then if you have your ultimate and you can boop people out of the Luna Snow ultimate, for example, or whatever the case, you can stall point forever when you're in your ultimate, or you go into doing your ultimate because you're CC immune while you're doing the Hulk part. You can bubble yourself, you can bubble your teammates, you can bubble against enemy ultimates. You give Namor a ridiculous team up, and I'm telling you, that Gamma Squid is no joke, even in higher elu lobbies. If it's not answered immediately, and there are times when people are reloading, they don't see it for a second or whatever the case, and that Gamma Squid is out on the field, that is so crazy powerful, and especially because Namor is really strong regardless of being in combination with Hulk. So the big green dude is on top of the stack here, in my opinion. And that would be my tier list for the best heroes to climb from bronze to eternity with. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? And if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and watch this video where we break down how to rank up so fast it feels like cheating. Until next time.